You are telling me now that if I have Apollo and I piss inside my eye, it's not right.
No, it's not. A lot of us are babalawos. Because how do you think that removing wax from your ear and putting it on a boil actually works? Yes. Into the afufu, yes.
Omo.
Yes.
Elephant.
Look at it.
So clean.
Some people add bleach. Alcohol is poison. Yes, alcohol is actual poison.
All alcohol. I've heard that red wine is good for you.
Who said that? I want to meet the person that said.
Does it make sense to eat outside at parties?
I would not collect food at a party. And that's me personally. If I walk straight to where they were selling food, and here was that same guy. Sir, how may I help you? I said, you help yourself. You are never serving me food. How did the maker's uncle, how did that person die? Let's find out. After a brief illness is not cause of death. There are certain even meats that I try to avoid taking. And that's because especially meats that is put over open fire and has those burnt, charred pieces.
You just described suya.
Basically. A lot of Nigerians right now have hypertension. NCDs is becoming one of the biggest killers of Nigerians. NCDs mean non-communicable diseases. We had over 4,000 to 5,000 young people come to party. People partied from 12 p.m. to 10 p.m. Not a single alcohol was inside.
So sorry, what were they drinking?
Water.
You lie. You lie.
It means that person's gun probably has like 4 or 5 bullets inside. It's loaded and ready to go.
So we're all different. The amount of bullets when I get inside my gun is different from the one when you get. But everybody get at least one bullet.
Yeah. I mean, I had a brain surgery 3 years ago. Nobody knew until I came out to say it.
I mean, but you had been living healthy before. What led to that?
The kind of tumor that I had, which is what we're saying about. Oh yes, one thing must kill a man. I agree. But which quality of life would you rather have? One of the best things you can give yourself, especially on your birthday, just quietly go to hospital on your birthday.
Oh?
Yes.
This show is supported as usual by FinServ Pro, our tax friends. Look, if you live in the United States of America as an Africa diasporan, you need to have FinServ Pro on your side. Taxes are not supposed to be so complex or difficult. FinServ Pro makes it easy, efficient, at an affordable price. You literally can go to sleep every year once you have FinServ Pro on your side. Trust me, you need to check it out. Visit www.finserv.pro today to get started. Proco Doctor is perhaps the most popular, if not the most loved doctor online in Nigeria today. I mean, he just brings medicine, deep medicine, life-changing medical advice to what you might call, the common man, so to speak, to everybody. He's everybody's doctor, is relatable, and he makes the most complex medical concepts very simple. On this one, I have the pleasure of speaking with Proco Doctor. This is the Teju Babyface Show Deep Dive. This is the Deep Dive. My wife has never ever said to me, don't come back home until you interview a particular person. She never said that. She said, this one that you are going, don't come back to this house unless you come back with an interview with a Proco Doctor. So I went to look for a Proco Doctor. On this one, it is a Proco Doctor.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having
Superstar.
me. Leader.
Superstar.
Leader.
How are you doing this thing?
I sincerely have no idea. I don't know. Just the rough farmers they go. Well, we are learning as we are moving. That's just the best way to put it.
Okay, so what's your name, your real name?
Okay. So my real name is Chinonso Egemba. Fidelis.
When was the last time anybody outside of your family and friends called you by that name?
I can't remember.
But look, I love it. Look, I have never wanted to be a doctor in my entire life. I don't look at doctors and envy them. Like I look at, until I saw what you did. I'm like, this is such a niche. This is, oh my goodness, it never, people hardly ever inspire me. And I say that with all humility online, but you, I look at you and I genuinely feel jealous. I never feel jealous about anybody. But I look at you, I'm like, this guy has cornered such a niche. He must be raking in money. But usually when you say that about people, it's like, no, that's not the case. I just have fame. But I feel this way about you.
First of all, it is an honor to actually hear that from you, because you were someone that was an integral part of my growing up.
I'm a young boy. When you people say this thing, I'm a young. Which day did I just finish from Unilag?
Once I finish, I beg. You have been an integral part of my growing up, and having to feature on your show, kind of to me, is like a stamp of honor. To say yes, to some extent, you're on the right path. And this is one of those moments for me. The moment I got them, I was like, no, there's no need to even talk too much. So long as I would find time, and I'll make sure that I'm here. So yes, it's an honor. About the
money, the bread, the cash. Here you go.
About the bala, it's been an interesting journey, and that was because I never actually started this because I wanted to make money. And I say that with, I know, yes, people say it. I didn't start this for money. And it has become a niche conversation for almost everybody. But I could say with all truthfulness that I never started this because I wanted to make money. I started it because there was a need. I practiced in the southeastern, I trained in the southeastern part of Nigeria, Unizik to be precise. And even my house job was in IMSUT. When you train and practice, in your early practices is in these communities, one of the first things that you notice is that a lot of people carry out a lot of actions. I've seen women who have had children that are convulsing. And what do you think they would do? We've had women pee in their babies' eyes. We've had women carry their babies' feet, the feet of their children that are actually convulsing. They're having a seizure and they put it in fire simply because they believe it will stop that seizure. And you can't talk to one person alone and think that will solve the problem. No, because it's a community-held belief. They think it works. And so I knew that there was a problem, because if I start to educate one patient by themselves, I'm not even moving the needle in any direction. And so I knew that I needed to get the word out there, because when I started to talk to people who I quote and unquote believed were a little bit, enlightened, I actually realized, this person might have a PhD in some other field, but health-wise, he knew nothing. And this is something that directly impacts our life, and that was why I started it. If it was money, I would have left the country a long time ago. Very few of my classmates are in the country. So if the motivation were purely just money, I would have left the country. So sometimes I think I'm a crazy person. I'm just driven by this need to solve a problem, and especially a problem that affects us.
So wait till they talk now. You see,
the money not today like that.
Not even with that one. So you have just made me feel like an illiterate. You are telling me now that if I have Apollo and I piss inside my eye, it's not right.
No, it's not.
But that's what we do. It works now.
It does not work. See,
when you have Apollo, you will yellow. The yellow one. You look for the yellow one.
First of all, that Apollo in many cases, conjunctivitis.
Yeah.
In many cases, is viral, and you cannot even get Apollo from looking at another person. You most likely get Apollo from shaking the wrong person. You shake the wrong person, that person has touched their eye. They've transferred some of that virus onto their hands. You touch the same remote as them. You touch the same door handle as them. And you touch your eye, and all of a sudden you get it. That's why most times when you see Apollo in one person, Check the next person there that gets it. It's a person who is in very close proximity. They touch the same things. So all the whole idea that we grew up with, if I look inside your eye, Mister go get Apollo, it's not true. So urinating even inside your and then viral infections. A lot of viral infections are self-limiting, right? They will go by themselves, whether you like it or not. An example is the common cold. But most times, when we do something that coincides with the same time period, so just because two things happen together does not mean that one thing is
Doesn't mean they are mutually inclusive.
Exactly. So people will say, "Oh, I piss for bucket is stop them." So if you try your bucket, and that's one of the damaging things that are in our own healthcare system. Anecdotal evidence. Oh, he worked for this old man. That's one person. And all of a sudden, guess what? The story spreads that he worked for one person, and so he should work for everybody. That's why I said that we Nigerians are storytelling people. So we tell stories. That's the way we pass across information. And that's why I decided a Proco Doctor was the name that was going. Because when you hear that, it catches your attention. I don't also speak like this online. Because if I speak like this, I become one of those doctors. And the moment you get, too much English. That's why I have to bring the conversation in such a way that the average person on the street can understand it.
You've done awesomely. I think of you and I look, okay, so you started 2015. How long before it took you to get your groove and become successful? You know, because if you hadn't said that to me, I assume you started maybe during COVID or something in the new rise and the new wave of people who came to the forefront and prominence because of COVID-19 and, you know, stay at home and all of that.
2015, nothing. 2016, nothing. 2017, nothing. 2018, some bit of traction. 2019, nothing.
You did this thing for 5 years.
Nothing.
Before it took off. Nothing. Consistently.
I was even working 3 jobs, by the way.
And you were consistently posting.
Consistently making videos. Just because I knew that somebody out there, their life was being changed by what I was putting out there.
Okay. So let's get into it. What are the greatest health misconceptions or superstitions around here? The mainstream general ones, not the really, really village ones. You know, what are the things that I just told you now? Up until you said it, I mean, the Apollo, the piece inside eye, P inside the eye for Apollo, I could have sworn. Okay, what about this one? This one?
Which one?
You're telling me that if I'm beginning to get a boil and I take wax out of my ears and I put it, that might not work.
To be honest, I've not heard that one in my life.
That's the thing. Now, if you're beginning to get boil, you must call it AO. You take wax out of your ears and you put it on the thing. And to the best of my knowledge, that works.
A lot of us are babalawos. Because how do you think that removing wax from your ear and putting it on a boil actually works? Another very common misconception is we need to clean our eardrum. Now, you don't need to clean your eardrum because even at the back, just humor me, go to the back of the cotton buds that you use. Read it. It's there. Do not insert into your ear canal.
Eh?
Yes.
That
I promise you. Read
the
it.
cotton bud, the
Yes.
normal.
Go and read it.
Is don't insert in your.
Yes, don't insert into your ear canal.
So what is it used
It
for?
is proudly written there.
So what is it supposed to be used for?
It was never called an earbud. It was called a cotton bud. But we just decided to use it and clean our ear. And that's also because we think that
Jehovah.
our ear needs cleaning. It does not. That wax you see there is not dirt. That wax is actually there to protect your ear from infections. That wax is actually there to protect your ear from dirt, from dust, because things fly, you know, and move. Let's say an insect flies into your ear. If you notice, the wax has a certain texture. That wax is supposed to be there to actually stop the insect from crawling further. But guess what happens? You take a cotton bud and then you put it into your ear. And many times you think you're cleaning your ear because when you bring it out, you can see something. But what you've done is that you forced more wax into your ear canal. And the further into your ear it goes, the smaller the canal becomes. And after a while, that wax becomes impacted. And people say, I know they really hear from this ear, but they hear from this one. You basically cause yourself problem. And then you go to the doctor and the doctor takes your money and cleans your ear properly. Because every time you chew, that wax sort of comes outside. So when you put your hand into your ear and you bring it out, what you see are the ones that your chewing action has forced out. Just let your ears be. It's not dirt.
So that was why a doctor many, many years ago now had to take a metal syringe with water
Yes,
and
force
water into my
because
ears.
you had earwax impaction, caused probably by you trying to force things into your ear.
So you must be amazed on a daily basis by the things that you see.
It's crazy.
From people.
Yeah.
People.
Educated people, actually.
My name is Teju Babyface. I'm the creator and the host of the Teju Babyface Show, the first late night talk show in West Africa, and now one of Africa's most watched podcasts, the Teju Babyface Show Deep Dive. And here is something I hear from people all the time. Teju, I want to start a podcast, but I don't know where to start. It just feels too technical, it feels too expensive, it feels too complicated, I have no broadcast experience, and so on and so forth. My answer? You are overthinking it, because you're sitting on a platform and you're living in times that could change your life forever. Podcasting is the simplest and most powerful way to share your uniqueness and your unique ideas with the world. Your podcast is your platform, it's your voice, it's your message, and you can start with what you already have on a budget. That's why I created Podcast Magic. Learn everything you need to start your own successful podcast on a budget in just 7 days. This is a clear, powerful 7-module course that walks you step by step through the entire process of launching your own podcast, even if you have zero experience and you have a very limited budget. You will learn how to find your podcast idea and shape your unique voice. You will learn how to record video episodes using just your phone or your laptop or whatever equipment you already have. You will learn how to edit and publish using free or low-cost tools. You will learn how to grow your audience and start monetizing your voice. Whether this is your passion or this is your next profession, the truth is there are thousands of people who would never have had a voice, they would never have had a platform, but are today earning a living and building an influence simply because they started a podcast not too long ago. You could be next. And there's more. When you get this powerful course, you also get access to our exclusive Podcast Magic community, a private support space where your real-time questions, your challenges, your wins can be shared and addressed almost every day. Once you buy this course, you're a lifetime member of that community. So you will never have to walk the podcasting journey alone. The course drops on the 14th of June 2025. But if you buy before June the 5th, or the 5th of June rather, you will get an exclusive 30% discount. One-time payment, no subscriptions, lifetime membership in the podcast community, and lifetime access to the Podcast Magic course. Click here to join now or click in the link in my description below. And let me leave you with this. You will look back in 3 years and say, "Hi, I should have started when I had the chance." This is that chance. You said something about alcohol.
One
yes.
time. Alcohol is poison. Yes, alcohol is actual poison.
All alcohol. I've heard that red wine is good for you.
Who said that? I want to meet the person that said.
Continue.
I want to actually meet the person that said red wine is good for you. Now, let's break down red wine. They say red wine is good for you, yeah? But then red wine is contained in alcohol, right? And the quote and unquote, the good ingredient that everybody says is contained in red wine is one ingredient called resveratrol. Another thing is, when you see a research online, one of the first things you should ask yourself is, who sponsored the research? When you look at the person who sponsors the research, then you know the agenda of the research. Some of this research was actually sponsored by the alcohol companies themselves. Because they know that if they just put it out there, it's good for you in a small manner or in this. But if something is good for you, why don't they give it to children and breastfeeding mothers? Have you ever asked yourself that question?
Well, no.
Water is good for you.
But why is it that everything that is good for you is boring or bitter?
Not necessarily. It's just the way we have grown, and then your tongue can actually adapt, right? When we say salt, too much salt is bad for you. If you look at it, a lot of Nigerians right now have hypertension. NCDs is becoming one of the biggest killers of Nigerians. NCDs mean non-communicable diseases, hypertension, diabetes. But let's look at hypertension, for instance. One of the biggest contributors to hypertension is sodium in food. And so one of the things you should actually do is reduce the amount of salt that you add in your meals. So the next thing to now do is to ask yourself, which foods have a lot of sodium? Just aside from salt. If you get to the back of the food that you get in the market and you look at it and you ask yourself, how much sodium is here? How much sodium should I have in a day? Is this more than 2,300 milligrams? Is it more than 1,500 milligrams? But we don't know these things. It's like going to the fuel station with your car, and you don't know the difference between diesel, fuel, and kerosene. But we pay more attention to our cars than we do in our body. We just feel, oh, just because there's a hole in it, pour something inside. So just because your mouth is open does not mean that every food item should come inside. A lot of these food items are made just because the people who are making it want profits. Don't care about your health. You're there for profits. And when you take a lot of these things, it affects you. So when we say, oh, junk, for instance, reduce it. Or even say no to it. But guess what? Junk is sweet.
Mm-hmm.
And because there's that reward system in your head, that's why a lot of people are addicted to these things.
My brother, wait first. So you say I shouldn't drink any alcohol. I can't even drink socially. I can't take a glass. You say that every single time that I take alcohol, I am irredeemably and irreparably damaging my body?
No, but...
Because you can't be at a party now. I mean, we're at a party now for 6 hours. We'll just be drinking Coke or drinking water or just drinking juice, just looking...
Yeah, Okay, let me tell you why that's a misconception, right? We had a party in October. It was called the Proco Nation Fiesta. I dare say it was the largest health-focused party in Nigeria. We had over 4,000 to 5,000 young people come to party. Happened at Muriel Konola Park, October last year. Right? October 26th to be precise. People partied from 12 p.m. to 10 p.m. Not a single alcohol was in sight.
But Igbo.
Not a single drug was in sight. And that's because we decided to make a statement. There's certain things we believe because we believed it.
No, we are going to fight on this one. Because every time I go to parties where they don't serve alcohol, I just...
Go and do your research. People partied from 12 to 10. Young people. Young people. See, whatever you believe is because a story has been told to you. And so you believe the story. And so there is no other existence outside that story. And so we decided we're going to tell a new story. And the new story is you can have fun without damaging your body. There was not a single drug in sight. No Igbo, no colos. There was nothing in sight. Because we made sure that it never happened. There was not a single alcohol in sight. There was not a single soft drink in sight.
I was going to come to that because they say
before we started, a lot of people said, Aproko, this is not possible. Some of the people that I hold in high regard told me this is not possible.
So sorry, what were they drinking?
Water.
You lie. You lie.
Go.
Okay.
Go to Instagram, search Proco Nation Fiesta. See the videos.
Okay, maybe because you did in the afternoon and they were thirsty under the hot sun.
People party till night, till 10 p.m. We had to beg people to go home.
Do you know what will happen to you if I do my 50th birthday party and people come and I give them only water?
That's you.
Would you do that?
People had fruit juices. People had healthy drinks. Look, see, it is a story you're telling yourself. There is one popular influencer that says this is...
Sorry. I'm curious. Like, we're going to put this on the show. The man who is supposed to be monitoring the camera. It was so carried away with your story that me sitting in this chair, heard the camera click off. The man standing beside it was looking at you. Like, did you hear the camera click off? Because this man is a drinkard.
In his He's a drinkard.
But we'll continue, please. Yes, he's a palm wine drinker. Please continue.
So, people said it wasn't possible, but we did it. Simply because we decided that we're going to tell a new story.
Including some of the people you respected.
Including some of the people that I respected. Brought the idea like, that's this Lagos. Yeah, I know possible. He's like, I don't necessarily see the success behind this. We did it. We did it. It was a banger. Literally. Some were saying, my get artists when if you pull this kind of crowd where you put. We did it. No promise of drugs. And that's when I knew that we had started a movement. It was a movement of people being in front of their health decisions. And I wish, it was just very old people that came. No, it wasn't. Young people, Gen Zs came to party.
I was at a party on Saturday.
Okay.
And so they didn't bring food early.
Yeah.
And having recorded all day without eating, I confess again. Just back to back. So I get to this party, wanting to really go to town on the food. I get there by 6:30, starving, famished. And they don't give me any food for almost an hour. And so I almost lose it and I go behind to where they're serving. And I don't quite shout, but I like, look, this doesn't make sense and all of that. And so quickly decided to make food, and 15 minutes later, they brought me this wonderful bowl of amala. Mm-hmm. And in that moment, looking at that food, I begin to suspect that food. That me who just went to give them a piece of my mind. And then I remembered all the food poisoning episodes that I've had. I remember the certain friend of my parents whose son went to a party and ate and died from what was food poisoning. I remember a guy with whom I went to University of Lagos who died from eating at a party. And again, not a vow, a decision that I've made many times is not to eat outside at parties. But somehow I keep forgetting. So I just want to ask you, does it make sense to eat outside at parties? Especially when you don't know where the food is coming from. You don't know whether it's recycled. Should you just eat in your house, go to the party, celebrate, and go home? I've seen people have some of the worst experiences from food they ate at parties. In fact, when you were saying Russian roulette, I kept that question. Eating at parties seems to me like Russian roulette. It's one bullet in the chamber. You don't know when you're going to eat the wrong thing. So if you were sitting in front of me that Saturday, given how I've been hungry all day, I just went to sort of, give a piece of my mind to the people in the kitchen. Should I have eaten that? Because I ate that food finish, and halfway, once my hunger was sated, I was like, you don't mess up. You're not supposed to chop this food, though. So when I woke up the next morning and nothing happened, thank you, God. I won't do it again. So you tell me, how big a risk is it to go to parties and they bring the food you don't know where it's coming from?
There is risk in everything we do in life, right? Me coming here was a risk. I could have had an accident on the way here. You getting up from bed and trying to step off. There's risk in everything we do. However, there are things that we can do to mitigate risk. One of the things that you also need to do is whoever is in charge of a party has to work with caterers or people who make food that have a track record of ensuring safe food is prepared, right? Because you can't invite people to a party and not expect them to eat. It's a party. There are times when you have closed parties where everybody brings their own food, and then it comes in. But the reason some of those parties work is because everybody knows everybody there. Somehow I trust you. But guess what? If there's one person that a lot of people don't trust them, everybody will just avoid their food. But when you have, externally sourced parties, when you have caterers and all that, you have situations where sometimes a lot of people let a lot of things slip. And that's one of the things that I also advocate for, especially if we're we should not let certain things like anyhowness enter certain practices. For example, food. Food is delicate. Everybody who goes into the preparation and the handling of that food matters, including the person who is serving. As a matter of fact, I would not collect food at a party, and that's me personally, if the people serving the food don't have either gloves or wearing face mask, especially when you're talking over food. If you're talking over food, that's your saliva. I don't know what you're carrying. Some people who are food handlers might have typhoid. But guess what? We could bother about all these things and think about all these things. Or we'll just chop the food. We'll just go. We can't be thinking about this. But as long as you can ensure that there are certain things that you can put in place to ensure that the preparation of the food is good and done properly, because it's food. People take it. You know, if you go to parties of people that, you know,
Not just go any party.
you just go any party. You know,
They
go to
look party,
parties.
they go.
Yes, go to people that you know that even the person who is having the party has certain standards.
Exactly.
But then again, I don't want to seem like I'm talking to a particular sect. We all have, so this thing should actually go down to even the parties on the streets. In what conditions was that food prepared? Who handled it? This is why I said education.
You see, it is that train of
Yes.
handling food that
Yes.
bothers me.
Yes.
Is that train
Yes.
from the person who was making the amala
Yes.
to the service
Yes.
of the amala, to put it on
Yes.
to the person who served the stew, to the person, the plate itself,
Yeah.
to the person they gave it to, whether he was talking, when he was coming, to
I-
all of those. It's just that the chain of custody,
Exactly.
for me, is very.
I was at a mall, you know, and I decided to use the restroom. I was really pressed. So I really decided to pee. And I walk into the restroom, see a guy walking after me, and we stood at the urinal together. Sorry, not together, side by side. Different urinals.
In the same urinal.
You know,
They give a chance.
we stood side by side, finished my business, he finished his business. I walked to the sink to wash my hand, and this guy just steps out without washing his hand. In my head, I cussed him out. I was like, such a dirty pig, you know, because you are an adult. There's water, there's soap. Wash your friggin' hands. And, you know, he works out. I cuss him out in my head, and I continue moving about my business. And one day I decided, I was still in my way. I was a little peckish, so I was like, let me look for something to buy. I really need to eat something.
No.
And I walked straight to where they were selling food. And here was that same guy. Sir, how may I help you? I said, you help yourself. You are never serving me food. I'm sorry. Every symptom of hunger I had left. And so even things as simple as washing your hands.
Eh?
Yes. Into the afufu, yes.
Omo.
Yes.
Elephant.
Look at it.
So clean. Those.
Some people add bleach.
Don't eat this. What in my culture?
Wait.
What are we going to eat now? Don't eat this one. Don't say. So now what you go keep person. If we are going to die, let us die. What are we supposed to eat now? The amount of bullets
different.
when I get for inside my gun
Yes.
is different from the one when you get. But everybody get at least one bullet.
Yeah. How did the maker's uncle, how did that person die? Let's find out. After a brief illness is not cause of death. There are certain even meats that I try to avoid taking. And that's because especially meats that is put over open fire and has those burnt, charred pieces.
You just described suya.
Basically. I mean, I had a brain surgery 3 years ago. Nobody knew until I came out to say it.
I mean, but you had been living healthy before. What led to that?
The kind of tumor that I had, which is what we're saying about, oh yes, one thing must kill a man. I agree. But which quality of life would you rather have? Also, a lot of the people who you think are your quote and unquote role models in society who display these things for you to see. Have you asked yourself why? What is the agenda?
All right, thank you for watching the show. As you know by now, what you saw is just an excerpt of the show. I mean, if you're watching this, that means that you're not a member of this channel, because the members get to watch a separate whole video, which is the full complete video. So as I enjoin and encourage you on every episode, please join our channel. We thank you for subscribing already, but please join, become a member of the family. To join, you will see a link in the video below. It's almost always the first thing that comes up. You will see it, join. The button is there, join. If you don't see join, go to where the description ends, and when you click on more, it drops down and you see where you can join. Thank you very much for becoming a member of the family. Join the channel. I'd like to say thank you to Kehinde Onabanjo of Finesse Events, the owners of Whitestone Event Center on Billings Way, Oregon. Thank you for watching this one. Join the channel and we'll see you on the next one. Thank you.